Hey everybody, welcome to the latest edition of the Nikki and Larry show. Nikki Stone, who's with us here on the screen, and Larry Sparano, myself, and also Bob Bolus will be joining us. He's one of our guests tonight, along with others who will be joining us. And tonight's topic is a decision that was made this week by the Lackawanna County Commissioners to keep drop boxes in this election. Big headlines in the newspaper, big story. The drop boxes in Lackawanna County are here to stay. And Bob and others were at that meeting where that decision was made by the majority commissioners. There's three commissioners. The two Democrats, the majority, said yes. Mr. Chermak, the minority Republicans, said no. But the Democrats carried the vote. So the drop boxes will remain for this upcoming election, this presidential election in Lackawanna County. And we know, Bob, that you're opposed to it, and you spoke out at the meeting. And do we have somebody joining us on the phone? If you are, come on in and join us.
Okay. Yes, I'm here, Suzanne Green.
Suzanne Green?
Yes.
Okay. And were you at the meeting, Suzanne?
I was at the meeting. I was there with the newly formed group called the Lackawanna Election Integrity Force.
Uh-huh.
And I did speak at the meeting. The Dropbox issue was presented a little bit differently. It was not an agenda item. There was no vote on the drop boxes.
Mm-hmm.
We were told that there was already in place a ruling from previous year that allowed drop boxes to be placed throughout the county for elections.
Mm-hmm.
So actually, after the agenda items were read and voted on, Commissioner Chermak actually presented his motion to not place drop boxes for this election cycle. And he gave his reasons, which were for security issues as well as the expense of actually placing a drop box. There's the expense of actually having it out there, having it open, having it secured, having 24-hour surveillance on it, and then, of course, the daily collection, sending out an officer and an employee of the election Department of Elections from Lackawanna County every day to all 6 drop boxes.
Yeah.
So, and then, of course, auditing it, the audit trail, the chain of custody, the insurance that's required to ensure the security of the folks who are going to be doing this work, etc. So for all those reasons, he presented the motion, and it was not seconded by either of the other two commissioners, Gunn or Matt.
Mm-hmm. All right, Susan, other than the expense, Chermak, I think, also made some remarks about whether it's really that secure, whether it could really prevent ballot stuffing. Was that part of his argument as well?
Yes, he did mention security, and that's why they have the 24-hour surveillance.
Yeah.
They have the police officer go out to collect the ballots. There is video that's supposed to be recorded and kept, and then reviewed at some future date. Yeah, and reviewed, right, Nikki, reviewed at some future date as well. So the expenses keep piling up, and the other two commissioners did not second the motion.
Right.
So it died without being seconded. It was not voted on.
So it remains in place. But what I'm getting at is, other than the expense, despite the supposed surveillance, the video cameras and all that, I think you and Bob and others are not convinced that would really prevent cheating. Bob, is that correct?
Yeah. Larry, what I brought up there yesterday, I was the first speaker. And what I brought up, the cost for the sheriff, the security, and all this that we're putting on to put these drop boxes in, as opposed to a stamp. No more than if you were mailing your absentee ballot back. You put it in, you're going to mail it back, put a stamp on it and mail it, let the post office take it in where it's going.
Yeah.
Our costs are cut 99.9% in what the drop boxes cost us. There's not a security issue anymore. There's no more game playing, which Gahan, I'm sure, wants to figure out how to play games. And the Democrats, the simplicity is we have the United States Post Office. You want to mail your ballot, you put a stamp on it, drop it in the mailbox. End the conversation.
Yeah, you know, I think people
We can't
also,
afford any more debt in Lackawanna County that this idiot is putting on us.
you know, there's also a distinction between absentee ballots and these mail-in ballots, which are a recent addition. You know, absentee ballots have worked well over the years because you have a legitimate reason, and you know, it's through the mail, you could trace it and all that. Mail-in ballots, it seems to me, wide open for all kinds of shenanigans. Nikki, I know that you have an opinion on this too, Nikki.
Well, in Luzerne County, they just recently said no to their drop boxes
Correct.
for various reasons, a lot of the same reasons that you had just stated. And I know people who have reviewed the tapes and have seen numerous people putting in more than one ballot into the ballot box. So election integrity is certainly in question when it comes to using these boxes. And then you have to ensure that somebody is actually going through all of the tapes for the surveillance and watching closely, not taking their eyes off to see, and that they didn't miss, like the way someone was standing, if they could have put in more than one at a time. There's a lot of legitimate questions. I heard Shermack use the word conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
And it's not a conspiracy theory. It's right before your eyes that you can see that many things could go wrong.
Yeah.
It's not.
In fact, if you know somebody
You're
jumps
right.
in, somebody jumps in multiple ballots, how do you distinguish when you empty that box? You know what was legitimately deposited and what wasn't, because they're all mixed in. We have another call coming in too. Is somebody else on the line? Please introduce yourself.
Hello, Lorene Cummings. I was at the meeting as well. I'm the former commissioner of Lackawanna County.
Thanks for joining us, Lorraine. So, what do you think about the argument that Gahan made, and you know the harsh criticism of those who oppose drop boxes? What do you think of the argument that they're perfectly safe because of the video surveillance, et cetera, et cetera? What do you think, Lorraine?
Well, obviously, I don't believe in the mail-in boxes at all, and they are not surveilled because in Lackawanna County they did stuff ballots into the box, and someone saw it and called the commissioner's office and talked to Chris Chermak and told him about it, and he had them review the tapes from 2020, and they did verify that did happen, and nothing happened to the person that did it. So it's proven in Lackawanna County that they are not safe. And my complaint was not for just the ballot boxes, but the fact that we are no longer counting the ballots inside the polling locations where the voters actually elect the minority and majority inspectors, 2 Democrats and 2 Republicans, and a judge of elections, where they know the people in the neighborhood and count the votes within that poll. Now they don't do that anymore, centrally located inside the county for all the mail-in ballots and absentee ballots. And, you know, they said that they don't have Republicans and Democrats. They don't ask them what their party is when these people are hired to count the votes in the centrally located poll at the county anymore. It's just people that the elected county officials choose, and voters have no idea who these people are. So
They don't have to ask them, Lorraine. They don't have to ask them. They know.
Well, I think that, so I stopped at the state rep's office because the answer we were given was that it's in the Act 77. However, I don't remember that being a part of the original bill, so I think that must have been added to have the centrally located area. And there's just so many problems with this that they don't want people to know, and they refuse to put that in the paper, what I had talked about, because they don't want people to know that fact.
You know, something else I experienced personally at polls in a small town north of Scranton. There were Republicans coming in trying to vote in the last presidential election, and they were denied. The book would be opened, and it would say they could not vote because they did not return the mail-in ballot that was sent to them. Now, these are all Republicans, and they would say to us that they never requested the mail-in ballot to begin with. It was just sent to them. So because they always planned on voting in person, they tossed it aside. Then when they came to the poll to vote, they had to vote provisionally, which was another rigmarole. And then, you know, who knows how that ends up. And also, when the judge of election takes the ballots down to headquarters at the end of the day, at the end of the vote, they're not allowed in the building. A sheriff takes it from them, and they enter headquarters where the ballots are counted. So technically, that's a break in the chain of custody. So that's another thing that's not being done kosher.
But it didn't
Well,
go on and say, because he
Agreed.
was a civics teacher, he was appalled that people had these questions. As a civics teacher, he should appreciate that people had all these questions and don't and want their elections to be secure. I was thinking, how dare he say, as a civics teacher, I'm appalled at the way people are responding in the conspiracy theory, however
Yeah.
he said it. It was disgusting, because as a civics teacher, he needs to appreciate that this is election integrity, which is the basis of our country. Being able to elect who the people want, not just who the elites want.
Yeah,
Nikki,
You're
Correct.
right, Nikki. You're absolutely right, and that's part of the issue here is that the public has lost confidence in it, and so that is what's causing all of these issues to be erupting and people to be upset about things and there be conflict, is because there's a lack of confidence in the system right now. You know, is there going to be fraudulent ballots? Have there been in the past? Is there a potential for it? Yes, all of the above. There is potential for it. So to be prudent, you should remove the potential as best you can to actually increase the confidence level of the public so that they are confident that the vote they cast is a vote that will be counted. So that's what my goal is, to help in that regard. And that's why I attended the meeting. That's why I stood up and I voiced my opinion on several different things. But one of the things that I'm concerned with too is that one of the commissioners really should not even be on the election board at all.
why is
And
That's correct.
he
That's correct.
yes.
that?
Yeah.
Who is that, and what's the reason?
All right. So the Pennsylvania Election Code actually states that the commissioners of a county should be comprise the Board of Elections. But it also states that whenever a commissioner or a member of the commissioners is on the ballot or is elected that year to a public office, they should be replaced by the judge of common pleas, and another judge or elector should be in their place, put into their place. So, and be on the board instead of them. So that would remove the conflict of interest. I actually read the exact verbiage from the Pennsylvania Election Code during the meeting, and that's Matt Gloin. He was actually a candidate on the ballot in April for the Pennsylvania delegate to the DNC. He did win that election, and he attended the DNC. He held that public office. He cast his vote, whichever candidate he wanted to cast it for, and he returned to Pennsylvania. So he should not be on the board right now, and potentially be seeing a case brought before him in an election that he actually was a candidate. That's the conflict of interest that should be removed.
You know, what struck me was, well, go ahead.
No, that's okay. That's, to me, like the start of confidence in the system. If the election board itself will not even go through their own Pennsylvania election code and follow their code that they are sworn to follow, then confidence from the public, or lack of confidence that the public has in the board, is not going to be a surprise to anyone.
Yeah, a point well taken. You know,
Right. It shouldn't be called a conspiracy theory.
Yeah.
It's a legitimate, justified concern.
Yeah, what struck me was
Correct.
the harshness of Commissioner Gaughan's criticism of you people who spoke out. Do we have a recording of that we could play?
Well, what happened,
Yes.
Larry, if I may a second, I know Suzanne has a recording. If you look at Gaughan's history, when he was in the city of Scranton as a councilman and then as the president of council, I turned around and had a trailer putting his head on the body of a skunk because he skunked us in the city. And I said, if you elect him as a commissioner, he will skunk you in Lackawanna County. He did that yesterday. He's true to form. He's like, as far as I'm concerned, he's a communist leader because the people have no say. And he forgot about the fact that it's the voice of the people, not the idiots running the government, that control where we go. And he has too much power. And what really annoyed me was McGowan sitting there and not opening his mouth. I've never known him to be a follower. I've always recognized him as a leader, and he just sat there and didn't see nothing. Chermak stood up to the game. He laid it on the table the way it should be, and he should receive all the credit that we could give him for what he did. Because what we're doing here, it should just go back to being an absentee ballot. You need a vote, you request it, you're a registered voter, they'll mail it to you, they'll verify it. Get away from all this crap that we're doing, that Gaughan and the rest of the Democrats want, because they know it leads to corruption, that they could cover up and put their candidate in illegally if it's possible. And that's the way they're playing the game, and Gaughan's right at the head of the leadership.
Do we have that recording of Susan or Lorraine? Do you have the recording of what Gaughan said? Very harsh criticism of you people.
I do have it, Larry. Commissioner Gaughan's offensive comments were made to the concerned citizens that were there at the Lackawanna County Courthouse yesterday, the 25th. And in my opinion, it undermines the credibility of the whole electoral process and erodes public confidence. But you could judge that for yourself. Let me play this. Okay. I get it. Okay, here it is. Can you hear it?
No. I hear bells or something.
I think that's Suzanne's dinner bell taking us to dinner.
No. I'm playing it, but it's not. I think because I'm actually using this on my own phone. I'm gonna have to give me a moment, and I'll send it to something else, and I'll play it.
Or if you could put it on speakerphone on your phone.
Yeah, sometimes it doesn't work on your phone when you try it that way.
Yeah, but
I have it on speaker right now, but I'm gonna put it on. Nikki, can I send it to you?
I can. Let me try. Because I'm on my computer too, so I'm right here on my computer. I just have to get to the point where he talks.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Then
quite.
hold your phone close to your computer.
Yeah. Okay. And Nikki, I just sent it to you.
All right. It probably won't let me play it either.
Maybe Attorney Frederickson can speak more on that. I don't know that we've had the final decision about ballot tiering. Canvas the Friday after the election. And again,
Here you go.
To wrap things up, I have to be honest with everybody. The level of ignorance, stupidity, and misinformation that was portrayed today as democracy is striking and shocking. As a former civics teacher, as I sat up here today and listened to some of you get up, it pained me. It actually bothers me. So it's clear that we need to start investing more in civics education in the United States of America. The fact that today we had to get an education on democracy and democratic values from two of the speakers who are convicted felons, again, is shocking. Our election must have order. Our election office, as Director Hopkins said, is top notch. In fact, when Al Schmidt was in from the state, he had said the same. So please educate yourselves on the process. Thank you very much. I'll make a motion to adjourn. On the question, all those in favor? Aye. Have a great day. Thank you.
When he said level of stupidity, was he talking about his own?
What's that?
So when he said level of stupidity, was he referring to his own? I'm confused.
Yeah,
I mean, and as a civics teacher, he should appreciate that the citizens are concerned, and that's democracy at work, not anything that he was just saying.
Yeah.
Bill Gahan is about Bill Gahan. He's an opinionated dictator. No matter what you deal with him, we dealt with him in the city as council and all, and he proved his true colors yesterday to insult the people in the city, in the county. He has no respect for anybody. He just feels he's more important than anybody else out there. He's a dictator, and you can see just what he pulled yesterday. This isn't about, he wants it about him. It's not about what the people want. He did it in the city, and damn it to hell, he's doing it right now in the county. And we got to find a way to finally eliminate this piece of garbage out of our society and out of the leadership that's his way of leading and not the way it should be led on behalf of the people in the future generations.
I love
the look into it to litigate against them, because I believe there's major faults that he did that have opened him up to litigation. I sued him once already in the city of Scranton for what he pulled, but this time he went way beyond what he did, because he did it against the whole citizenship.
Well, you know, I love the way they always bring up every chance they get, the newspaper and himself, Scavo about January 6th, convicted felon, this and that, which is irrelevant to the arguments for pro or con.
He was bringing that up about me as well when he said that.
Yeah.
But just for his information, it's being expunged against me now legally, and I'm entitled to it. So the idiot is in the wrong place. He can't even stand in my shoes for any contributions I've done. And this Wednesday coming up at the commissioner meeting, I'm going to put him in his place about what he's really about and what we're all about.
I have to say that I have more respect for the convicted felons he referred to than I do the unconvicted felons in charge in this world today.
Yeah. Can I put the link in the chat, or won't it allow me to do that? So you have it.
Wow.
I'll try.
Lorraine and I and Bob, we were sitting in that room. I was just absolutely shocked. I was shocked to the point where I said, I can't believe that he's actually saying this. This is a person who is supposed to just thank the public for coming out and actually voicing their opinion so that they can take it back and to think about it and actually act in a democratic way, right? And to listen to their constituents and take their opinions into consideration. And it was the absolute opposite of that. And I actually have, I could say I have actually never seen any commissioner, leader or anything, chastise the public, the concerned citizens who came to the meeting, and literally everyone was very respectful, and they did stand up and they did voice their opinions, but they did it in a respectful, professional manner.
No, it had
there was
you had to put the stuff I told them.
Yeah, it was
We
like
hear you,
a
Bob.
3-minute.
Bob, mute
There was
yourself.
Yeah.
There
You
was
know,
a 3-minute time
I'm on that live
time
phone,
limit
so-
to
No,
talk, and so each person would get up and just speak for like about 3 minutes,
yeah.
and then they would go sit down, and then the next person would come up, and there were several people who were actually for drop boxes and spoke, and then there was a multitude of people who were against drop boxes, and then there was other people who had other concerns, like the one that I had addressed, which was that the one commissioner shouldn't even be on the Board of Elections, and then other things. So the point is that the audience of concerned citizens was respectful. There was no reason to go this direction, this commissioner. He was just wanting to insult
Yeah.
and offend people who were there in the audience,
Yeah. That
who
was.
had come to voice their opinion.
Right, well,
Maybe
not
to
because,
intimidate.
You know what? Maybe it's because, well, A, to intimidate people, but when you know you are wrong, many times it makes you madder. So you insult the people who are right to diminish their credibility.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
let me add at this point, just so we're not going to be accused of violent rhetoric, since that's a big thing that they're putting out now against anybody who criticizes the establishment. When Bob Bolus said eliminate this piece of garbage, you were talking about politically and nothing more than that, before somebody out there picks up and tries to make something out of it that it wasn't intended to be. So
Yeah,
just a clarification on
I'm talking
that.
Like, vote him
politically.
out. Vote
I'm
him out.
talking politically, Larry,
Yeah.
about what we've seen going on with people.
Yeah.
Look what we got in New York. In New York, the mayor in New York being indicted
Yeah.
or whatever they pulled. And I just used the term garbage. I mean, I could use different terms and terminology. It's that we have to eliminate the corruption in our system,
Yeah.
is what the bottom line is.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
you
you
call
know,
it garbage, you call anything you want to do. But the bottom line is we're open to too much corruption, and it's being allowed by people like Gahan and others to do what they're doing and shutting the citizenry down.
Yeah.
And it's our voice, it's our vote that they have to understand.
Yeah, Susan, are you still on, Susan Green? Are you still on with us?
Yes, I am.
Okay,
Yes, I am.
why don't you tell us something about your group and what you hope to do with that group, what your goals are.
Oh, yes, sir. Okay, so there's just a small group of concerned citizens from diverse backgrounds that got together within the last 2 weeks. We've all been working in some capacity with the election, whether it's someone who's been doing door knocking or voter registration, working with the GOP, or like myself, who just talking to my neighbors and making sure that they know where their polling place is and that they're registered and so forth. And a friend of mine asked me if I'd like to go down to a meeting. So we got together, and the point is that concerned citizens can get together, and together we can make a difference. And that's what we want to do. We want to instill confidence in our election process. We want to have fair elections, free elections, safe elections, so that when we go to the polling place, we know that our vote will count, that our vote will go for the candidate that we're designating. And that's what election integrity is all about. It's that people can go out and vote and feel confident that their vote is going to count.
Susan,
We want to let our voices be heard.
Which brings me to this question: the name of your group once again, and do you have a website, and how do people join up?
All right, so right now we are fledgling or brand new, newly created organization, and we are under the sponsorship of the Lackawanna GOP currently. So right now we have a Facebook page that I just put up about 3 days ago. I have multiple posts on it, and the name of the Facebook page is Lackawanna Election Integrity Task Force. And the email address, leif@LackawannaGOP.org.
You know, even though it's under the auspices of the GOP, the effort for election integrity is really nonpartisan. It could be either side. Democrats, independents, and Republicans could all pitch in to ensure this, correct?
Yes, we value input from any affiliation or non-affiliation. Anyone interested who would like to be involved in election integrity and let their voices be heard and make sure that we can keep fair elections and confidence from our citizens. That's what it's about. It's not about who's going to be the affiliation that we want to be in power. It's about having whoever is, because you know as well as I do, it's the leadership goes from Republican to Democrat, Republican to Democrat, but it needs to be whoever is in that position is going to allow free and fair elections that are safe for everyone. And there's no intimidation, there's not fraud, and there's confidence from the public. So, yeah, we welcome any Democrat, independent, non-affiliated, never voted their whole life, whoever would like to be involved. Facebook page, please message me, and I'll be getting back to you.
Okay, once
and
again,
take a look. I have all of this right on the Facebook page.
And once again, that's the Lackawanna Election Integrity Task Force, and the email is leif@lackawannagop.org. So
Yeah.
Okay.
Something everybody should be concerned about. On either side, we have to all be concerned about the election integrity.
You know, speaking of non-partisanship, what strikes me in the other areas, but also Scranton especially, the adherence to the Democratic Party and what the Democratic Party once represented, which, a lot of people don't realize it's not the party that they grew up with. Now, do you see, since you people are out there mixing and sampling opinion, do you still see that strict adherence to the Democratic Party in terms of the working class connection, or do you see that eroding? Because years ago, the working class was confident that the Democrats were in their corner. So is that still the perception in the Scranton area? Anybody?
I think that it has been for a long time. I'm from Northeast PA, and I grew up in the Valley, and I grew up as a Kennedy Democrat. I'm going to call it Kennedy Democrat because everybody here on this probably knows what I mean. RFK Democrat, JFK Democrat, and remained a Democrat for a lot of my adult life until about a decade ago, and where I knew my values were not changing, but the party's values were. It was no longer the party that I recognized. And I do think that there are a lot of people, many in the Valley, who are recognizing that it's not the same as it was. They don't recognize the Democrats, and they're just keep voting that way, maybe because of one thing or because they always have. But that's changing. That's changing a lot. And I just did hear that Luzerne County has now
Gone
turned
red.
to, yes, on red, yes. So there's more
Yeah.
Republican registered voters than
That
Democrat.
came out about 2 days ago, and so that's, I think, good news. It's what I was hearing before, but I heard of a lot of people that said, I'm not changing my party. I never wanted to change my party. I'm like, I'm only registered to vote as a party, so I have a choice. But I got so mad during the last election that I changed my party to, I don't know, prove a point maybe. But I would have remained Democrat myself. But they are so against the values that I once thought they stood for.
Well, things changed dramatically that when we grew up in the valley. I mean, I'm born and raised here. You went to the polls. Election day was election day. You went to the polls, you went behind the curtain, you hit the little levers, and you voted. Okay, simple as that. If you wanted an absentee ballot, you had to request it. It was mailed to you. When it was mailed back, it was verified that you were, in fact, a bona fide elector. So we don't have that anymore. What we have is the computer systems. We have all the ways to put a scam in anything we're doing electronically with voting machines. I have filed a federal lawsuit on human error on behalf of Trump. I have 15 people that signed verifications and notarized them. One, her dog got a ballot. The other one, her great-great-grandparents got ballots. The other one, her mother and father that are deceased got them. Another guy said he was number 150 in line, and when he got there, his number was 25. So with the electronics in these machines and the sophistication, it's way beyond what we could even think, is what they're doing today. So we have to get away from the technology that's going in there and go back to the way it was. And that's election day is election day. You come in and you vote, period.
If I may,
go ahead.
I can tell you that in Lackawanna County, the last thing I made sure of before I left was that we had the accurate machines, and our machines are the ones you want. It's a paper ballot, and they are accurate. There's no way that the votes totaled through our machines are inaccurate. The cheating is happening as we speak. On the 16th, when all the mail-in ballots went out, that is when the cheating begins. And they sign up homeless people, and they sign up anyone in nursing homes and personal care homes. The Democrat Party is a machine, and it's actually a uniparty in our county. And that seems to be our biggest problem is I saw it as commissioner. I saw what happened. They hire people that have, and I'm not even going to lie about this, they hire people with a lot of family, and they give them jobs so that they can have these tentacles throughout society where they have votes that they can count on, and it's all for their job. And they control the vote, not only at the local level, but I've seen it at state committee because I'm a state committee woman right now, and I've seen it at state committee as well. And it's very, very disheartening. It's disheartening to see this. And I won my election by 73 votes, and it was because I was the Tea Party leader in my area. I had some grassroots support on independents and Democrats and Republicans, so I was a mixture of people that supported me. But then if they want you out, the good old boy Uniparty will work to get you out, and there's nothing you can do. And they have a way of looking at percentages to know how to do it.
Yeah, when you say uniparty, I think that is part of the problem. So often there's no little difference. They are acting, as you say, an old boy network, and they may be different in name, but really, in their approach and what they're doing is pretty much the same.
And who they're
Larry, what's that about?
Oh,
Nikki. It's sad what we're watching right now is to see people like Gahan and McGloin, who are the majority. And it disappointed me that McGloin would become a follower of Gahan and not stand up for the rights of the people. Our election integrity is what America was built on. And I'll tell you what, in Lackawanna County, we don't have that integrity anymore. It's gone. When you got people like Gahan doing what he did yesterday, and that he insults to the people, and he was supported by McGloin, it just turns your stomach to think this is where we are, and our voter integrity of what we believed in our democracy, that people died in battle to give us this right. These people are taking it from us, and we have to stand up now and bring it to an end and become the people of this country, not the people of dictators.
You know,
Bob, it's important to note on that as well that when they start insulting the people who do stand up and speak, they are in making others who would like to stand up and speak feel like they can't now because they're going to get insulted too. They're going to be knocked down. They're going to be made look, being called stupid. And that's a form of suppression in itself.
yeah. You know, also what strikes me is I'm not a native of this area, although I've lived here for more than 30 years. But people that I know that grew up in Scranton, the towns around Scranton, you know, they all say it's changed drastically. You know, when they grew up, you could leave your doors open. You didn't have to worry about your kids playing outside. You didn't have to worry about break-ins. You didn't have to worry about being stabbed, murdered, attacked. You know, that was a rare event. But now that's changed. And these dyed-in-the-wool Democrats, they don't see any connection between the party that's controlled the economy and the social conditions all these years, the deterioration of this once very stable traditional area.
Well, watch all the illegals in the town now and everything that we've done. Larry, I'm born and raised in Scranton. I come from a Lebanese and Italian family. I grew up in West Scranton, and you could leave your doors open. The neighbors were neighbors. They'd be cooking. You'd be going to this house or that house to have lunch or dinner. It's how we all grew up together, the camaraderie. It wasn't about politics. It was about the camaraderie of building a community. And it was built. I mean, the church I bought in Scranton, Holy Cross Church, is 118 years old. It was built by the immigrants that came here. And when you look at the work that they did and the artwork, I couldn't let them tear it down. The Scranton diocese in the city of Scranton wanted to tear it down. And I refused to allow it to happen because the Democrats in this community have decided to destroy our religious culture and destroy what we were all brought up to believe. And we've got to try and bring it back. But the younger generation today is lost into the computer and social media. Look at the clowns out in the street that are protesting and raising all kind of hell. They don't even know what the hell they're out doing out there. Tearing down statues, trying to destroy our history. I mean, we're looking at an internal civil war again because it's got to come to an end what these guys are doing. Like people like Gahan, who profess to be educated as a history teacher or a civic teacher, he lost something in his educational, in his upbringing and where he was going. And I look at him as a person who's going to self-destruct, and I want to make sure he doesn't take us with him.
Any other comments on the deteriorating social fabric of this area?
Well, yeah, God has been taken out of our lives, and it's a mess. And they look at the government as their God now, and that's how we elected Paige Cognetti, who's from Portland, and that's how Gahan got elected as commissioner when everybody knew how he was when he was a councilman. And I wouldn't doubt that he'd run for state rep or something more in the future and get elected because, like I said, it's the good old boy network that if it's your turn to rise up to the top, then it's your turn, and that's how it works around here. And I've seen it, I've lived it, and it's a disgrace. They put people on the ballot that know nothing about anything. and they get them elected, and they aren't in it. The only reason they're in it is because they were chosen to run, because of their last name, people know them or whatever, and they're told what to do and how to vote, and they do it, and that's what they do. I've watched it for the past 10 years. I've seen it, and it's disgusting, and you know, I don't know how to fix it. I've tried to. I work under my own rules now. I work on my own, and I get out the vote. I worked with the pro-life groups, and we've been working out doing doors for the past 4 years, and we've worked in Luzerne and Lackawanna County, and also in Holmesville, and trying to get Nanacoke and all those areas, and I think we've done an awesome job there. But you know, it's difficult. It's difficult to watch, and you know, I my heart breaks for our area, but it is what it is right now. And I've tried multiple times, and you know, you get kicked down and you get back up again, but then you see what happens. This guy hand comes out and says something terrible like this to the people, and it will rise people up. The next commissioners meeting will be jam packed, and hopefully it will affect the election. But we'll see. I'm hoping it affects it in a positive way.
Anybody else on the line? Anybody else on the line?
Larry, one more thing.
Yeah.
What we have with him is, I believe, there's no doubt he's a bought and paid for politician, or what, liberal, whatever we want to call
The
him.
three of them are.
And where we got to look at how do we eliminate people like him being in office? And it's got to be back to the people. They got to open their eyes now and see what's happening to our community. But we got to better educate the kids, the future generations, and the future leaders in this country. They're confused. They have no idea what the hell is going on.
Those are
in
your
this country.
chimes. Nikki, your
They're watching
chimes
their
are ringing.
Yes, it's times. Are they too loud?
They're too loud, yeah.
I'm sorry.
I don't know if it's a message from above or...
It is.
Yeah.
It probably
Well, that's
is.
not the
Every
picture on
time-
my trailers.
Did an
Right
angel...
now, I just got a message from Florida that my condos are just about going to be inundated by this damn storm.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And I'm on the Gulf of Mexico in Bradenton Beach.
Oh,
So we thought they were all gonna
Yeah.
be affected. So I do have some issues there.
Yeah, Susan, did you want to say something else, Susan?
I did. Thank you so much for buying that church. That was, you know, something that a lot of people, you know, think about, but they don't act on. And you acted on it, and thank you for doing that. You know, preserving our history is important. And sometime I'm sure you're going to find a good use for that, maybe a community center, maybe something for Boys and Girls Club, who knows? But you preserved it for now.
When I've had people that are coming in that want to buy it, and I've told them flat out, the interior of the church, I don't care what they build, condos, this and that, they will not destroy the artwork and the culture that was there 150 years, 115 years ago, or don't buy the
Right.
place.
Yeah. Something else that's being lost
Yeah.
on this generation history. You know, there's no interest or understanding of it.
Yeah. Larry, one more quick thing.
Yeah.
Biden's supposed to be coming to Scranton tomorrow.
Right.
For and people have called me up and said, "Look, are you going to bring your trailers out?" And I said, "No, not this time." Tommy Bell was a very good friend of mine, and this and that. And because Biden's coming there, not because I give a damn about him, but it's out of respect for Tommy Bell and the family, my trailers will not even be out to even represent anything negative to Biden or anything else, because he's history anyway.
Yeah, for those who may not be understanding this, Tommy Bell was a childhood friend of Biden's, and that's why Biden is expected to be here tomorrow for the services. As fact, it hasn't been announced officially, but 2 days ago, my wife and others saw these huge cargo planes going into Avoca, and those are usually sent in ahead of time with the bulletproof limousines and all that. So from all appearances, yeah, Biden will be making an appearance. I don't think it's been officially announced yet, though. So,
Well, I can't in conscience
Right.
put the trailers there negative to this idiot because I really don't even care. He's out the door anyway. And my issue was Kamala and Tampon Tim, and that's where my focus is. And out of respect to Tommy Bell and his family, I could not personally go ahead and do anything that affects his going away, so to speak.
Yeah, on the screen we have a picture of what's plastered on Bob's trucks now, with walls. The running mate of Kamala Harris, who was putting tampons into boys' bathrooms in his state. And by the way, for those who haven't seen Bob's trucks, they're all over the place, decorated with support for Trump. Here's one that they did recently after the assassination attempt, the first one, which Bob and many others feel was divine intervention. He replaced the figure of the Secret Service person to the to the right of the president with a figure of Christ, to send the message that it was divine intervention. So Bob sends these trucks all over the place in support of Trump, as you could see.
Well, they will be out where he was shot. He's going to be there October 5th. And we're going to have the two trailers, the one naturally with the divine intervention on it. And of course, we're going to have the Tampon Tim and Kamala out there. We've redesigned it a little. We put her picture where Wolf used to be, holding up the gas line and a big smile on how she's screwing us.
Okay. Well, I think we could wrap it up for tonight, and we should probably regroup, in a week or so and do more on as we approach the election. I want to thank everyone for being here. And final words from everybody, just a quick summary, working from Bob over. Bob, final words before we close the session tonight.
Yeah, I would just like to say that with the people that we were with yesterday, Susan, Lorraine, Nikki, you, and everybody else, we're just the tip of the iceberg, but we're the flame that's going to explode into this community by what we're doing here today. And I couldn't be prouder to say thank you to all of you and being associated with everybody that was on this program and those that are listening. We're taking our country back, and that's where we got to focus on and get rid of the cancer like Gahan and those that are trying to destroy what we have. Thank you.
Nikki, you're next if we could hear you through your chimes.
You're going to hear me through my chimes. I want to thank, it's great to hear from Laureen, Suzanne, and Bob. I'm so glad you were able to join the show today. And keep up the good work, all of you. Keep up the good fight. It's the fight for everybody. I appreciate that so very much.
And Suzanne, your final words.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me on the program today. I really appreciate that. And thanks for helping me get the word out. If you'd like to join our group or be involved, this is a grassroots organization. It's your chance to actually help be part of the solution. You heard a lot of the issues that are in the election process right now. Be part of the solution. Check us out on Facebook at Lackawanna Election Integrity Force. Thank you.
Task Force. Okay. And Lorraine, you have the next last word.
Well, I just want to say thank you for letting me be on your show, and thank you. It was nice to see you again, Nikki, and we miss you, and Susan for starting that group up, and Bob for giving me the link, and thank you so much for all that you do, and you too, Larry. Nice to meet you on air, and I look forward to talking again after the commissioners' meeting to see what effect we've had on the community from our meeting yesterday.
When is the next?
Show, and thank you.
When is the next commissioners meeting?
Wednesday,
I believe it's next
Larry.
Wednesday.
Next what?
Next Wednesday is the commissioners' meeting. With Gahan
10 a.m.?
and the normal commissioner meeting
Yeah.
at the government building.
And when? When?
Next Wednesday at 10 o'clock.
Okay, very good. All right.
And we
it
all
was-
want to be there to show them exactly who the hell we are and what we think of them.
Yeah, everybody out there, no matter what your political affiliation, get involved in your government, because if you don't, the government will not be involved with you increasingly, because the old boys network, has full reign. So it's in everybody's interest, Democrat, Republican, Independent, whoever you are, get involved so that the citizens have control and not the politicians. So thanks everybody for joining us, and we'll be
Have
back.
a good night.
And have a
Good
good
night.
night, and we'll be back soon.
night.
Thanks a lot, guys. Good night.
Have a good night.
Bye-bye.